Today I felt drawn to the topic of love, and so I'd like to discuss what is love, how do we love, and how do we allow love. So, first and foremost, what is love? The types of love, permissions in love, and the filters and perceptions. So, the type of loves would be like your love towards your parents, your significant others, your children or pets or grandchildren, your love to items, maybe a certain car, motorcycle, sports team, something that you connect to, and when it's doing good, or when it is all good, or when it's the way you think it should be, you feel love. So attachments are helpful, they're beneficial, but also they're a lower vibration because when those attachments aren't the way that you perceive, then you're not going to feel that love. So the next thing would be permissions. Permitting yourself to give love and to receive love through attachments, of course, but through other things. For maybe if you feel like you're not worthy of love and you are afraid to give yourself love, to connect to source through that love, so you seek it in others as a bridge to receive that love and connection to source. Like maybe you've had a bad day and you came home and it just cannot shake that negative feeling. It can't seem to bring the love to yourself, but then you sit down and your pet jumps in your lap and you start snuggling with it and petting it and scratching behind the ears and under the chin, and you are bridged to that love and source, and it helps you feel better. It's not a negative thing, and use that, enjoy that, and embrace that, but then try to pay attention in there and feel that feeling and know that you can give that to yourself. So, not to replace that bridge of love, but to add to it by giving yourself permission to love yourself and experience that without that bridge. So, it's not a replacement, but it's an addition because things come and go, vibrations go up and down, you know. So, if you are able to experience that for yourself, then you can experience it more often and live a life more towards your bliss. And so, with filters and perceptions, filters being the things that you have experienced in life that have caused you to see things a certain way, uh, like maybe your filters are and perceptions are that your husband or wife should act a certain way, like you should have this, they should have this ready for you, they should be thinking of you, they should be giving you things through your love language, hugs or gifts, or say you look beautiful today or that they love you today. All these different things that are also attached to permissions, but they are the perceptions of how you think it should be. And when those things don't happen the way you think they should be, then you get upset or the vibration is lower. So again, bridges to source and to love. And so now that brings us to how do we love? Well, as I was stating, we love through attachments, permissions, and expectations, which seems redundant, but how we love is how we define love. So, in the same, when you love these attachments and you feel connected, then you feel the love and the source that is you, because we all come from source. Our energy comes from source. Hugging a tree, we're connecting to source. Although I recently heard from a channel that hugging trees is more beneficial to stand by the tree or sit on the base of the tree and visualize connecting to the roots. And that's a way of hugging a tree to actually connect to it through energetically. Not sure if that's true, just read it and it's really interesting. So that brings us to how do we allow love? Well, first and foremost, real quick, the way that I love, um, and I'm working on that. I spoil my wife. It's not a bad thing. Nothing wrong with spoiling your wife, but it's like sometimes I feel that that's the only way. That's my love language besides like hugs and hand holding, uh, getting gifts, not just for my wife, but for anybody. That experiential of giving them something, it makes me feel like I'm expressing my love. I'm sharing myself. But after a while, there's all these little tidbits and knickknacks, and while they're nice, but it's just it's messy. It's cluttered. It's not beneficial. I have to find I choose to find a better way to express my love and not try to just give them something that I think will make them happy because again, when I'm trying to love myself, I'm trying to get love through them in the same way that I talked about attachments. And then with my kids, I do spoil my kids a little bit, uh, but I tend to try not to spoil them as my wife because it's like, well, my kids should do this, my kids should do that, my kids should learn how to do for themselves. So I try not to spoil them, but then I feel guilty because their mom's getting spoiled, which also again isn't a bad thing because it shows that they can express love towards their spouse if they choose that. So with the kids, one thing I do spoil them with is cooking. Love to cook. So I specialize, like if I cook spaghetti, I'm cooking the meat by itself and the sauce by itself because someone likes more meat, someone likes less sauce, and stuff like that, which insequential, but it's also my way of spoiling them through food, which also then the flip side of that is then that's a love of food, and there's nothing wrong with the love of food, but again, you have to balance because then you're eating unhealthy. So, anyways, I digress. But the last thing I wanted to express on how I love real quick is my grandbabies. And it's a bit of a revelation because I love my kids unconditionally. I've always worked really hard to never love one more than another. I have 4 kids. So I don't want to love one more than another because I've seen that. I've seen the detrimental things that happens with the favorite child and whatnot. And so I try really hard because at least I can connect on one thing with one and one thing on another, and we work together in that really well. But there's no favorites. I love them all equally. Worked really hard on that. Now with the grandbabies though, unconditional, like heart melts. I didn't get it. I'm like I don't understand. I love my kids, but how can I love my grandbabies more? And then I was talking to my wife one day and just thinking out loud, and it occurred to me that there's less attachments, not in the fact of loving them, but there's not, oh, my grandbabies have to be a certain way. They have to grow up to be big and strong and manly and all this other. There's none of that. There's just pure love with no actual attachments to where I can actually love them and not love a certain perception of how I think they should be. And with my kids, I had the perception of, well, you know, make sure you're not too loud, make sure you're not too flamboyant, express yourself, but not too much. You don't want to stand out, and all these things that society told us was better. You know, in my childhood, seen, not heard. Speak properly when you're don't speak unless you're spoken to, like stuff like that. And so there's none of that with the grandbaby. So it's a pure love. It's almost like the same way that you love pets. It's a pure love. You don't have the expectations of what they should be and how they should be, and it's beautiful. And so that's really taught me too to, as I was saying, how do we allow love? I'm going to get into that. So real quick, so how do we allow love is our hobbies. You know, oh, I can't spend my money on that shirt. That's a really nice shirt. I like that shirt, but I probably wouldn't wear it very often. And if I got it, it would hang in the closet. Oh, but this is my hobby and it's expensive, but I love it. You know, maybe it's remote control cars and I love to build my own or something like that. Or maybe you like creating art, so you don't mind spending the money on the supplies or the tools. Tools are expensive, but you spend the money on the hobbies. And then, of course, another thing is self care. Maybe you like to wear designer shoes or expensive clothes, or maybe you've got an amazing beard and you have to have that expensive quality stuff for your beard, your balm or whatnot. There's all these different things that we're willing to spend money on self-care, on how we present ourselves to others. And the last thing is service to others. When you provide service to others, you are more giving of yourself. Sometimes to the point of like give the shirt off your back. Like you actually will give so that you end up not having, which is a really, really bad habit to break, is putting yourself out there and taking care of others first. So with these three things though, it's how we allow it to love. So my thoughts and my journey to love myself more is to take all these things and be aware of them and not judgmental. If I do these things, I don't get mad at myself for doing them. I don't, sometimes, I try really hard to not, and if I do, allow myself to get mad at myself, but then realize, okay, I'm mad at myself. Why? Is this true? Where is this coming from? Ask the right questions. And then I navigate as quickly as possible and I change that back into love for myself. And in the same way, when I'm doing these things, if I'm spending money on a hobby, if I'm spending money on equipment, on tools, I'm the kind of guy that like I spend 50 bucks on this tool for my car and I may only use it once or twice. But you know what? It needed to get got. And now that I've got it, I didn't want to half-ass it with the wrong tool. I don't want to like use a crescent wrench for something a socket should be on because it's going to pop off. I could break something, I could hurt myself. So I'm willing to invest in the proper tool. Same thing for software or for equipment. I'm willing to invest in the right tool. Women, you don't want to buy cheap makeup, I would imagine, for a lot of it because you're willing to invest in the proper tool. So take that willingness to invest and invest it in yourself financially, emotionally, energetically. Invest in yourself. And then also, the lesson from the grandbabies was take that love for them and put it on myself. Love myself that same way. And one exercise I would do that I made my own from hearing it was to take a moment and imagine my grandbabies. You know, use as many senses as possible, maybe a memory of a time that you just loved them. You're like, oh, you just felt that love. And now imagine that grandbaby that you're hugging and loving on and having a great time with is your inner self, your inner child. And then give that love to yourself. And now the subconscious wants to be like, hey, whoa, whoa, hold on there. You're being too much. You are loving yourself and being selfish. You can't be selfish. You gotta, but it's not true. It's not true. Because if you continue to love yourself, but then you spread that to others, and also in loving yourself, you're going to raise your vibration. And if you raise your vibration, then how you interact with others, when your vibration is raised, you're going to be sharing more love. And you're also setting an example for those around you on not what love should be, because again, that's a filter, that's a perception, that's not helpful, but just an example of what they could be. So, anyways, I've went a little too long on this video talking to you about something that means a lot to me, and today I was like, what do I want to do the video for? And I'm like, and I kind of asked myself, and I was like, love. Like I just, because that's the journey that I'm on, is increasing the love for myself and telling myself it's okay, giving myself permission to stand up and voice my, not just my opinion, but voice what I feel unapologetically. And if it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to be sitting there being that person in a conversation that has something to say, oh, well, hold on, wait, oh, they're still talking. Oh, I don't want to interrupt. Um, oh, oh, it's too late now. They're on a different subject. Oh man, just no, not anymore. I don't want to be rude, but I also don't want to be rude to myself. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Have a beautiful, blessed day, and I'll do the same. Thank you very much.